A theme that came up for us this year in our campus discussion and research around the teaching of creativity was the importance of internalizing the standards of the field. And initially we thought, okay, this seems really perhaps separate or even completely squelching of fostering creativity. And then we realized that much like rubrics, it creates a good set of boundaries and creates a safe space in which students know where they can run, how far they can take a project, and also, most importantly in this context, how valuable and how good their work is in a greater picture beyond school. We did a survey also this year in which 80% of the students surveyed said that both real-world assignments and in-class critiques, and that's a really great form of public learning right there, they said that both of those were really helpful and beneficial to their creativity. So those are some contributions that I think an art school perhaps can make to bigger contexts besides our own. And I think that a lot of students in more research-based schools or in humanities programs may not have very much access to, and I think that's something that we could take further. There's an old adage that you have to know the rules in order to break the rules, and I think by and large that's probably true once you get out into the professional world and in order to gain respect as a working pro. But I do think as educators it's our responsibility to strike a balance between imparting the rules and the standards and the history of the field, but also encouraging students to have a really good, safe space in which they can explore, play with those boundaries, play with the rules, and not have it have the same dire consequences. We will have done nothing for the next generation of creatives if we create little automatons who know what's right and know what's proper, but lack the risk-taking and the creativity and the courage to take those ideas to the next step. Something else to consider are famous masters, such as Picasso. He was known for his playful style and for breaking the rules and trying new things, but if you go back and look at his work, he had a very traditional art training, and he went through all the steps to do the skill building that was necessary and to know the masters and know the various styles. Even for his later masterpieces that looked quite playful or looked quite spontaneous, there are sheets of sketches and background work and those sorts of things to show that it's the intentionality and the process behind the work. The second reason for internalizing the standards of the field is that through this exposure over time, one gets a sense gradually of an internal compass of what works and what doesn't, what is successful, what ideas in their field have reached fruition, are good enough to be sold and taught and made. By developing that internal compass, then students start being able to be more independent and think like a professional. This sort of internal compass helps our students start thinking beyond just the here and now of the classroom and thinking about themselves as growing contributing members to the field at large. The third reason why internalizing the standards of the field is so important is that it's a really efficient, self-sufficient way of managing the output of ideas. Time and time again, creative masters, and regardless of whatever industry, have realized that the generativity and the amount of ideas that they can come up with are part of their success. The other key piece is that they have learned over time to quickly sort out which ideas were just passing thoughts and which ideas are really worth pursuing. So by having these internal standards, these folks are able to sort out what is good and what is bad. There's this researcher, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who works at the University of Chicago, and he's famous for developing this concept of flow. And in his work in the 90s, he interviewed dozens and dozens of masters and creative geniuses in very many fields, in physics, in dance, in writing, in art, all sorts of things. And over and over again in these interviews, these people have said, yep, we all come up with bad ideas. The difference is that we're able to sort out quickly what is good and what is bad, what is worth pursuing and what we can just leave aside. So by teaching this to our students, we're helping them become more efficient and self-sufficient workers. I know there's more and more real-world projects and project-based learning going on in institutions of all sorts of sizes and shapes, but encouraging our students to, from day one, view themselves as professionals and contributing members of a bigger context and as problem solvers on a world scale is really valuable.